Garden Report is powered by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Buddy Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report after Game 3 of the East Finals that put up the Celtics 3-0 in this series. A 13-2 run closed it. After they went behind by 8, Noah, with just 2:38 left in this one, trailed often in this game, had to go on some runs throughout to stay in it, trailed by as many as 18 at one point in this one. So in many ways an unfathomable win given some of the positions they were in this game and the way they looked for a lot of it. But the earliest best sign that it was going to come together started right away with Tatum's 6 for 10 start. He got himself going, and then later you had a defensive ramp up with allowed 38% shooting to the Pacers in the third quarter, 38% again in the fourth quarter. Some key stops late. Very few Pacers two-pointers to end this one. So a lot of things went into this. Definitely a devastating loss on the Pacers side to play this well without Tyrese Halliburton and still lose and fall behind 3-0. So it's hard not to look at this and say this series is over, but tonight also showed the Pacers aren't going to stop playing, executing, scoring, certainly.
Yeah.
So I think they're in for another one in Game 4 here, but tonight showed that they can handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I said this morning, right? This is a really talented Pacers team that has has fight and has a lot of different weapons that they can use. And the guys that needed to step up to give them a chance did. And in a lot of ways, I think this was the Celtics' most impressive win of the season, because despite the fact that you had guys like T.J. McConnell going off, Nembhard going off, playing really the games of their lives, they regrouped. And I thought there was a couple key moments. One being the second quarter run where it was an 18-point game. It could have become 25 going into the half. Instead, they cut it to 12. And so it made it a game. They were able to go into the locker room at halftime and say, we're going to be able to come back from this. And then obviously down the stretch, so many big plays. And to me, that's what really stood out because, we've seen this team fold in so many close games and struggle. And all the plays that they haven't been able to make in the past, this playoff run, we're seeing them make. So that really stood out.
And they withstood some crazy shooting from the Pacers. They have all series through this 3-0 lead they've built here. But with no Halliburton out there, Nembhard is just killing them with dribble penetration. It was Siakam who set the tone, though. Devastating mismatches, a 5 for 8 start for him in that first quarter. And then you get into McConnell's back-breaking baskets, especially against the zone, which I thought finally slowed the Pacers down a little bit. But he was still able to go out there and hit some shots late in the shot clock. One going up and under past Tatum, another one a heave from the left wing there. So all the while the Celtics are trying to sustain this run, these guys are still hitting crazy shots, and Jalen said it better than anyone in the locker room after the game.
They were shooting the ball well. Some of those guys turned into fucking Michael Jordan or whatever. And we was like, man, what is going on? We couldn't figure it out. But in the fourth quarter, we just stayed close enough. We just stayed right there. We just kept saying they're going to let us back in the game. They're going to let us back in the game. We stayed between 12, 13, 14 points, striking distance. And in the fourth quarter, we made some big-time plays. Jason Tatum made some big-time plays. That pass behind the back to the corner, Al hang it in the fucking loop. It was crazy. We just had a great grit win tonight.
So take your pick. There were Michael Jordans out there between those three. And I think it's those three guys that he's talking about. It was just crazy what the Pacers were doing here.
And I think that's why what they were able to do down the stretch was so important, because you can win a clutch game because the other team didn't make any plays, right? I think Game 1 had a little bit of that, where the Pacers made a lot of mistakes down the stretch. The Pacers made enough plays to win this game, and so the Celtics just made more. And that's what I think really stood out. And, whether we're talking about Drew Holiday defensively and kind of what he was able to do, his go-ahead basket, so many big plays. Tatum's behind the back pass to Al Horford from the corner. I thought it was just huge kind of all around, but you got to give the Pacers a lot of credit, and I think Game 4 is going to be another battle, and hopefully the Celtics kind of have in their mind, Tatum said it after the game, we were up 3-0, we were down 3-0 last Eastern Conference Finals, came back, made it a seven-game series. I don't think they really feel like that's going to happen here, but they've been talking about not taking things for granted. I think we'll see that in Game 4.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be interesting because all the reporting says Kristaps Porzingis could make a return here for Game 4. Seeing him around here today, we talked about this morning, didn't do much at shoot-around, it looked like, at least from what we were able to see. He looked like he might have been coming out to shoot pregame here, but took a turn to the weight room instead. So I think that's all up in the air right now. And I do think, unless he's like 100% healthy right now and ready to go full speed, I do think you put him out there. But if there's anything less than 100% from him at this point, I think you hold him back. And a big reason for that here, Cornette missed tonight's game. They tried to go back to Brissett early. It didn't work. It was a really bad stretch from that small ball lineup here tonight. I think they went a little too deep in the bench with it. But they do pivot to Tillman. Tried him with Horford at first. That didn't look great. And then they actually moved him to center and played a little bit smaller with him at the 5. And that's when they started going some of those zone looks. He looked comfortable in it, just reading and reacting defensively. They made plays in that group out there. And again, defense really initiated a lot of what they were doing. So Porzingis coming back might help with the offense a little bit, but you might actually take a hit defensively trying to integrate him in here. I think so, just because the Pacers have killed drop in this series.
Yeah.
He can maybe cover a little bit more ground than Horford.
Oh, in this
out
particular
there.
series, you mean?
Yeah, if you're going to bring him back for Game 4.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like a broken record because I've said this so many times, but I think the question is more of a long-term thing with him rather than tactically, do you need him for Game 4? Overall, the lack of rim protection that the Celtics have had this postseason without him has stood out to me. I think it's
they
something
miss
that,
Luke a little bit tonight.
Yeah, I mean, just they don't have it right now. You know,
Yeah.
Al is not really a traditional rim protector, and
3 blocks though tonight. He tried his best.
Right, he did. Yeah, and sometimes we see those stretches where he does become more of that. But I mean, Porzingis is one of the best rim protectors in the league this year, right? And they've totally missed him. And I think we talk a lot about the spacing and how he's able to be a zone breaker and kind of all those things, but that's something that they've lacked. And I think if they face Dallas in the finals, not to jump ahead, but that could come into play. So to me, I think the biggest thing is with Porzingis is we just have no idea where he's at. Like, that's the truth. We've seen Woj reports from Joe. We've gotten nothing. We had seen him work out a little bit in Cleveland. Nothing of late. I don't think we've seen him do anything on the court of late, and we have no idea.
That feels telling to some degree, right? Because all that stuff's kind of structured. And the fact that we were seeing a lot of them early on, that's saying, like, all right, he's making progress here. He's looking good. Now to not see him isn't great. Yeah,
but I mean, at shooting around this morning, he was walking around in his gym clothes. Like, I think he had worked out. I just don't think he did it in front of the media. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's always hard to gauge, like, how much of it is what we're seeing and how much of it is, like, he had a shooting time earlier. It's hard to know how much of it is, like, tactical.
Does your gut tell you he's out there Monday?
No.
I don't think he is
I don't think so. And he hasn't even been listed as, like, questionable or anything. He's
we'll get that tomorrow. But
yeah. No, but I mean, like, in general. It's not like he's doubtful. He's just been straight out, And there's a little bit of a part of me that's like, they're playing pretty well right now and they have a good thing going. And it's going to be hard to integrate him and have him be a part of this team because he hasn't been here for this postseason run. So obviously there's things that he does really well that they're lacking. And, they definitely need more size right now. But it's not going to be like you just plug him in and everything is so much easier. I think there's going to be a growing pain almost.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think you want to throw off what you're doing in this series in particular. Get ramped up for the finals. Have all those practices under your belt, condition, and prepare for the next matchup because you haven't been part of this series. And as you can see, just watching it, it's not an easy series to just step into and be on a string defensively and play up and down and do all the things you have to do to beat this Pacers team. Because this group they have right now, even if Cornette's not available next game, this looks like a group, even if they have to play the same kind of game they did tonight, close, frenetic, down to the stretch, runs, it looks like they're capable of sweeping them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had Celtics in 5. I thought they were going to lose tonight from the get-go. I thought Game 3 they're going to come back, home crowd, undefeated at home. Almost lost, but obviously won. I think now they're probably going to pull off Game 4. If not, I think this will be Game 5. I don't see us coming back here for Game 6, but you never know. But I just don't see that happening. But I think just the fact that they were able to pull out both Game 1 and Game 3 with these types of plays, I wouldn't be shocked if they came out and dominated Game 4, honestly. I think they have that in them as well.
Well, credit to them. 2 gut-wrenching losses. Still feels like they have a little bit of belief. I didn't catch a ton of their post-game stuff. I know Rick was pretty devastated watching the last 2 minutes there. But they're going to come out and play again here, and I don't think Halliburton will be part of that either for similar reasons. Porzingis won't be. You just can't throw a guy out there that soon after a hamstring injury in particular.
And they have a lead guard. I mean, their guards were elite tonight for much of the game, and so that's better than getting a Haliburton that's hobbled.
No, they probably helped to not have him here and not have him hobbled. similar to OG. We compare it to that situation on the post-game show tonight. So I wouldn't expect to see him. I have no clue about Porzingis, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of momentum for him playing in Game 4, but that's what Woj just reported is a possible
Watch him just come
return
back
date.
Game 4 now. We have no idea.
Certainly possible. So we'll have an eye on that tomorrow. There will be media availability, so maybe we'll hear a little bit more from Joe on his status going into the next game. I would guess not, but we'll try. And Noah Dalzell will be there. I'll be there. We have a full podcast coming tomorrow as well, our studio edition. Coming to here from the arena. Best we
No
can
studio
do.
in Indianapolis.
Best we can do. We'll have a long time to get in there between series here, though, if this is a sweep. And Noah and I are both picking it to be so at this point. How can you not with what the Celtics are doing right now? But the big question for our show tomorrow, are they going to win a championship? Have you seen enough at this point? Why or why not? We'll get into that then. Check us out. Again, read Noah at CelticsBlog.com. Check out our work here, CLNS Media, for all the post-game reaction. Celtics All Access for more coverage tomorrow from the media availability. Show our sponsors some love. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS to get a matching bonus, our official daily fantasy sports partner. Go to pxg.com/GarnReport and get yourself a discount on their polos, hats, tees, and more for the golf course. It's that time of year. Get out there and look good out there with PXG. And game time, you got the race tomorrow here. Want tickets last minute or for Game 4 here in Indy on Monday, go over there and use CLNS for a discount. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, this has been the Garn Report. Celtics beat the Pacers 114-111 in another classic style win here in this series. And they are up 3-0, one win from the NBA Finals. We'll see you tomorrow.